But we're going to move on to cricket now because the Proteas are in action tonight. They are in the West Indies. They are playing in the second of 3 T20s. It is the last warm-up tournament before the T20 World Cup, which starts next week in the West Indies, who are co-hosting with the United States of America. And the host won the first match on a Thursday night by 28 runs. It was the biggest defeat that the West Indies have handed to the Proteas after batting first. Proteas won the toss and they put the West Indies in to bat there, with the Windies posting 175 for 8 in their 20 overs. And the Proteas could not get close to that score after a very disappointing batting display. And a lot's been said also about the makeup of the Proteas team that has been taken to the West Indies for this tour, because some of the players are still in the IPL. Some of the players are being rested. So not all the players that will be going to the World Cup. Actually, the majority of those players are not part of this warm-up tournament in the West Indies. So it's going to be interesting to see then what the team is trying to get out of this without their regulars. But to help us look ahead to the rest of this series, as well as the T20 World Cup, we are joined by renowned and respected cricket commentator, cricket analyst and cricket fundi himself, Mr. Aslam Khota, joins us here on Sports Live. Good evening from us, Aslam, on Sports Live, and thanks for speaking to us tonight, sir.
It's fantastic, and good evening to you. Good to be chatting with you, Tabiso.
Yeah, great stuff. What do you make of this talk that's been going on before this series, that the World Cup team is not the one that's taking part in this warm-up tournament? And some people then are saying that what is the need, or what is the need for this warm-up tournament against the West Indies?
Well, not everybody's been involved in T20 cricket recently. After the end of the South African season, the CSA T20 Challenge. So, and then of course, a lot of guys jetted the way into to the IPL. So there are a number of players who've actually left the IPL and have joined the squad in the West Indies. So apart from it just being a warm-up, what's important, I think, is that it will be a great way to acclimatize. And that will be very, very important from a point of view. They had to select a team of 15 for this particular tour to the West Indies. It's a 3-match warm-up tour, let's call it that. And just to go back to the result that you talked about, I mean, the one thing I saw yesterday was even the West Indies are without some of their stars who will be joining them soon. And they played with tremendous pride and gusto. And the fact that they were playing at the ground in Jamaica after such a long time, they got great support and the team responded very nicely. Having said all of that, I wouldn't read too much into it, what will happen from the 2nd of June.
Okay, so then you talk about acclimatizing. Is it also maybe an opportunity for the coaching staff to try new things in this warm-up tournament? For example, we saw Bjorn Fortuin opening the bowling in the first T20, which is not really something new, but could that be a tactic going into this T20 in the USA and the West Indies?
Yeah, you know, while I say they're acclimatizing, the one thing I must make clear is that they're not going to be playing in Jamaica during the World Cup. In fact, Jamaica pulled out of hosting any matches for the T20 World Cup. Look, the thing is, it's a great time for the coach to also just have a look at the depth of strength, because there are some reserves for the World Cup as well. And it's just all going to be part of what has been a process in the build-up over the last, I would say, the last year. And we've seen that the South African team have certainly come through very nicely at the World Cup in 2023 in India, the 50-over World Cup. They seem to have gelled beautifully and found form at the right time. And I reckon this is possibly going to be the same thing with the South African team. And let's not forget that 2 seasons of CSA T20, or the CSA T20 tournament that has gone on here in South Africa, has been very good for cricket in general, and for those youngsters who are preparing or who have been preparing or earmarked for this World Cup. And I think all of that sort of augurs well as they go into this tournament.
There has been some concerns over Quinton de Kock's form. I guess he's one of the players that needs to play in this tournament to get his form back, even though he's got 350s in the IPL, but didn't have a great SA20. And by his standards, they're saying he didn't have a good IPL. Are you worried about his form?
You know, it's a very good question. I must say it's been a topic of discussion, Tabiso. And the only thing I'll say as a saving grace for, first of all, his fans, and the fact that South Africa need him to fire because we know the quality player he is that he did show in the 2023 World Cup, the 50-over World Cup in India, his desire to win a trophy for South Africa before he gives all of the cricket up completely. Remember, this is the only format that he actually represents the country in now. And I do believe that he's going to put his best foot forward again. I'm really in the hope that he will, because I always found him to be perhaps the X factor. And if he can bring it together, Quinton de Kock can still be a match winner.
Okay, wonderful. And then just finally, Reza Hendricks has also continued where he left off. He's been unlucky with his selection here. Has he nailed his place now to open with a Quinton de Kock, with Themba Bavuma no longer part of the T20? And how crucial will Reza Hendricks be at this World Cup?
Well, I mean, from what we've just seen yesterday on a difficult pitch, where most of the other batsmen, I don't think, got near 20. Yeah. He's got a magnificent 70-odd or 30-odd deliveries. So showing that he's in great form. This is exactly what South Africa needs at the top of the order. And the fact that he didn't play in the last edition was actually a travesty. But so the form has continued from then on. And hopefully he just puts it all together when it really matters for himself and, of course, for the team and the country.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Aslam Khota, for joining us, looking ahead to the T20, second T20 between the Proteas and the West Indies. Hopefully we'll have more conversations when the World Cup starts next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cricket commentator and analyst Aslam Khota joining us there to look ahead to tonight's second T20. And I've just had a look at the team news here. It looks like young spinner Ngaba Peter is set to make his international debut for the Proteas in this second T20 against the West Indies. The first ball will be bowled at 9 p.m. So looking forward to this exciting talent that has really been good for the Lions in domestic cricket. Ngaba Peter making his Proteas debut tonight in the West Indies.